If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by portrait photography, or just at a loss of what to focus on to take you to that next level, then come hang with me. I help guide portrait photographers just like you to stay clear and sharp in camera and with your goals. I'm your host, photographer, educator, and weirdly positive mama of four, Emily Supio. And this is the Stay Focused podcast. Photography advice to help you stay focused. Well, hey everyone, it's Emily Supio, and thank you for pressing play on today's episode of the Stay Focused podcast. Hey, real quick before we get started today, if you've been a listener for a while now, or if this is your first time listening and you really enjoy the show today, I would so appreciate if you would head over to wherever you're listening to this podcast, maybe iTunes or Spotify or YouTube, and hit that subscribe or follow button. And better yet, I would so appreciate if you would take 10 seconds and leave a quick rating and review for the show. It would mean a lot to me. All right, today we're going to be diving into something that I think a lot of you will find a lot of value on. We're going to be talking about what not to do to find photography clients for your business. And most of the time when I am talking or when we're going through a podcast episode, I like to kind of promote that positivity and what to do. But I've noticed that there's a lot of my students and a lot of listeners who do things that aren't as productive at finding photography clients. And sometimes when we know what we're doing wrong and what not to do, it helps us really pinpoint what to do so that we stop concerning ourselves with all of the things that don't quite make sense. And we can focus on what's really going to move the needle forward in our photography business. And as we work through this list of things not to do to find photography clients today, what I want you to realize is that you are not alone in doing these things, okay? All of these things are things that either I have done or I hear my students do, or I have worked with my peers and other photographers and they've said, yeah, I've done that too. I wish I didn't spend so much time doing that. So I want you to realize as we work through this list today, if you're like, oh yeah, I do that too, that it's not just you. What I really want you to take from this episode today is to start realizing and recognizing that, oh yeah, I might be doing that, and this is what I could do instead. If you've started your photography business, but aren't finding the clients that you would like to find and really have no idea how to market yourself in a strategic and step-by-step way, then I invite you to join me in my free on-demand business class for photographers looking to get that surge of clients consistently month after month. You can head over to cozyclicks.com/business class and watch the class today. You can also go into the show notes or the description wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast right now and just click the direct link in that description so that you can get started growing your photography business. All right, so let's break into this list of what not to do to find photography clients. I'm going to start with this first one, which is do not recreate your logo over and over again. And if I'm being honest, I think I have probably had at least 25 different variations of my logo throughout the years. And the majority of them were probably in the beginning stages of my business. Your logo, it's not going to attract clients. It's great for your brand. It's great to have brand continuity and for people to be able to recognize your logo eventually and see you. But your logo is not what draws people in. The logo of your business is not what is going to get clients for you. The thing is, it's so easy for us as photographers, right? Because we are super creative minded people. And so to create a logo is easier then figuring out those marketing strategies that are needed to actually find clients. So if you've caught yourself trying to figure out, okay, what am I doing? Why am I not getting clients? Maybe it's my logo. Maybe I need to update that on my website. And then going into Canva or contacting your graphic designer or however you've created your logo, getting into Photoshop, however you've done it. There's lots and lots of ways to create a logo, right? But you're thinking, okay, I'm not finding clients. Maybe it's my logo. So you get into the computer and you're spending hours and hours trying to recreate a logo, then putting it up everywhere and thinking, okay, now clients are going to come. They're not, you guys. It is not the logo. So if you've got a logo right now, just leave it. Okay. If you're just not loving your logo, if you hate your logo, or if you're like, yeah, it's time for a change, fine, but don't spend the majority of your marketing time working on the logo because it's not that that's getting you clients. Okay. This kind of takes us right in, transitions well to this next point, which is your brand colors and fonts. Okay. You may have heard before, I think I've had episodes before where I brought branding experts on where we talk about colors and fonts and how it is important to have that continuity in your brand and choose those. But selecting new colors, changing the fonts on your website, moving things around, thinking that a different font is going to attract people differently, it's not. And again, because we're creative people, we like that visual, right? We think that maybe that's the reason we're not finding clients. And it's easier than going out there and thinking of those marketing strategies and putting in those marketing strategies into place in our business that will actually find clients for us. So we go to our computer and, maybe change or play around with the fonts or look at our website and think, oh, what if I change this? Or the headings could be different, or I like what she did. So maybe I'm going to find, or I'm going to email this photographer to ask her what font she used on her site so I can use that on my site. Again, your clients aren't booking you because of the fonts on your site or the colors on your site. So whatever you've chosen, just keep those. That's not what is going to help you find clients. Now, if you're hating again, or you really don't like the way your font looks, or if people have told you, you know what, your font's too small, I can't read it on your website, or it's too fancy, it's too confusing, I can't read it, then maybe it's time to get in there and make those changes if you've had feedback from clients on things like that. But just getting in there and changing and tweaking things because you think that's the reason, and it seems like the easiest way to try to work on your marketing, it's not. Okay. So do not go back and repick fonts and repick colors for your business. It's not going to work. And again, I also did this. I've done it several times throughout the life of my photography business, changing fonts, seeing which one is better. And the thing is, they probably will change over time. So if you do change the fonts or colors of your business, it is totally okay. But what I want you to realize, I want you to recognize if you're doing this constantly. If it's something you're doing where, oh, a month went by, oh, I don't have any clients or nobody emailed me, maybe it's my fonts. I'm going to go in there. It's not. Okay. So don't waste your time changing it over and over again. Okay. All right. If you want photography clients, do not do this next thing. Okay. Which is, don't put your eggs all in one basket. I feel like I'm really old when I'm saying that. I feel like that's an old saying. I need to come up with something that's a little fresher maybe, but I think you get the gist of what I'm saying. Don't rely solely on one thing to get your photography clients. Okay. You want to kind of spread out your marketing strategies and you want to assess those to see what's working and what's not working. So don't just choose one thing. So if you got one really great client and they referred you out to their friend and you're like, yes, I'm getting referrals. Word of mouth is perfect. It's free. It's great. I'm just going to keep going with that. I'm just going to expect that. That person is going to refer me to someone else and that person. And while word of mouth and referral strategies are really good and can be really, really effective, it's kind of out of our hands a little bit with word of mouth, because we don't know if our clients are telling other people or not. We're hoping they do. We're hoping they're going and shouting it out to everybody and posting it on Instagram and Facebook about how great we are, right? But we don't have control if they're doing that or not, or even have a large, friend group or family group around them that they are referring people to. So if referral or word of mouth is your strategy that you're using to try to find more clients, that's just one strategy, right? That's like all your eggs in one basket. You want to make sure you diversify that a little bit. And I want to go back. I said briefly that you want to assess that. I want to talk a little bit more about what that means. So with every strategy that you put in place for your business, you want to make sure that it is generating business for you, right? And if you have a system in place where you can say, okay, yeah, that is working, this is doing well, or no, this strategy just didn't work, this bombed, this was awful, it took money, it took time, it wasn't fun, we know that then that strategy doesn't work and we can, throw that out in the trash. But if we have a system in place where our strategies are working, then we can say, okay, let's go with this one and let's take this one a little bit deeper. What else could I do with this strategy so that I can build more and more clients off of that strategy? And ultimately, what you want to do, going back to not putting all of your eggs in one basket, is you want to have several strategies and systems going where it's like, yep, that one worked. I assessed it. That one worked. We're going to keep moving forward with that one. Here's this one. Nope, this one didn't work. Let's pull back on it. Here's the other one I tried. Yes, this one is working. Let's move forward with this one. And so you have a constant stream of strategies going, and you have a constant stream of clients. So that kind of takes me into my next point. I guess I was getting excited about that one a little bit, is that you have a plan in place, right? And I kind of broke down roughly, gave you a rough little outline of that plan right there of how you take and you create several, not just one strategy, but several. And you step back and you take a look and you assess, like, okay, is this strategy working? Is it not working? And so to not get clients, don't not have a marketing plan or strategy in place. You've got to create something. It doesn't have to be super extravagant, you guys. It does not have to be really complicated either. You can just keep things super simple. You just have to be intentional and be aware and know that you've got that plan going and you have that plan in place. Okay. So to kind of sum up today's episode on what not to do, and you can tell me, you can leave me a DM over on Instagram. I love hearing from you over there. You can leave me a DM over there and tell me if you've been doing one of these things, or maybe there's something you have been doing and you're like, should I not be doing this? I want to know. Tell me. Go over there and leave me a message so we can chat. But just to kind of go over what we talked about today, do not recreate your logo over and over again. Your logo right now most likely is fine, perfectly fine. Number two, do not go onto your website or anywhere where you are online and start changing fonts around and changing your colors around and spending days and days just trying to rebrand yourself again. Don't do that. Okay, it's not going to find you the clients. That's not the reason. The next thing we talked about was not putting your eggs all in one basket. And if you know a different way to say that, you can message me and tell me too, because I feel like I need more of a modern way to say that. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too hard about it. But don't put all your eggs in one basket. Diversify your strategies. Think of different ways and different avenues where you can find a client. And if you do have one thing you're doing right now that's really, really working well, that's great. But I want to make sure you've got other avenues going too, because let's say that one avenue that is working great is Instagram. And
you're finding all of your clients on Instagram. You figured out a really great way to find your ideal client, and they're all coming to you from Instagram. Well, what happens if Instagram shuts down, or they change their algorithm, or you suddenly get banned for a certain amount of time, or if you get hacked on your Instagram? Then what? You want to make sure you have other avenues going. Does that make sense? Does that make it a little more clear? So the third thing was not putting all your eggs in one basket and making sure that you're diversifying, which takes us into the next point of what not to do. And that's not having a marketing plan. You want to make sure you have some type of system or plan in place so that all of those different strategies you're going to line up, you can see if they're working or not, and what to move forward with and what to not move forward with. All right. I hope that was super helpful for you today. I hope that if you are doing one of these things, something clicked and you're like, yeah, I need to make some changes in my business to start making things happen. I've got to stop doing XYZ, this, and this, whatever things that you connected and resonated with today. And like I said, if you enjoyed this episode, if this was the first episode you heard and you enjoyed it, I would love if you would go over and subscribe and leave a quick rating and review wherever you listen to this podcast. All of the links that we talked about in today's show will be in the description wherever you're listening to this podcast too. So you just click into the description, all of the links that we talked about in today's show and all of the other shows, that's where you'll find them. All right, you guys, I've enjoyed hanging out with you today. We'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of the Stay Focused podcast. But until then, here is to staying in focus in camera and with your goals. Bye, you guys.